then we will upload it on the YouTube for you to see. Okay, so I was saying that this is the part, right? So these are the three things that are tested: problem solving, system design, and behavioral part. Now what happens in problem solving, it is quite simple. Like it is so explored that we should know about it. Data structures and algorithms is one thing that is tested. Another thing that is tested is maths, and the last thing that's tested is related to your corner cases thinking. How many corner cases you can think around that, right? And then comes the system design. They would give you, they will either see your projects, because your projects are also systems. For example, you are creating a clone of medium.com, or you are creating a clone of linkedin.com. So they will see what all things you have considered and what all things you have taken care of. So that's related to system design. I'll talk about it in more detail. Now at the end, we'll talk about the behavioral part. So this is all about soft skills, and this is all about how well you can communicate, and whether you are able to portray all those things. Like you have some thought in your mind, are you able to clearly and confidently express their thought? So that is the only thing, right? So clear communication is something that comes under behavioral part. Since this we are going for the tech roles, we would not be judged on the basis of our leadership skills and all those things. Yeah, so that would not be that important in our interviews. But most important thing is how well you carry yourself, and how will you explain what you have in your mind. So whatever thought you have, you should basically clearly and confidently explain that part, right? So that is one thing. Now let's talk about each and every part one by one, right? Okay. So the first thing that comes to us is data structures and algorithms, mathematics, and corner case thinking. Now, with respect to data structures and algorithms, we have already created a lot of resources. Like there could be small questions that you may have in your mind. So few things have already been answered. Let me quickly take you to one of this part. So if I go to youtube.com, and if I go to codingninjas.com, sorry, Coding Ninjas YouTube channel, so over here there are a lot of videos which are already made. So I can go over here and I can write Coding Ninjas guided path, so something like that. I think this is the complete data structures and algorithms roadmap. We can talk about this. And yeah, so this is the document which Parik has made in this video. And in this document, what he has done is he has clearly mentioned, like if you want to practice data structures and algorithms, then what all things you need to do, right? But the best part is that he has basically created a guided path on Code Studio. So this is something that I'll share with you all, right? So let it quickly open. Yeah, so this is the guided path, and in each topic there are few questions that you have to practice, right? So there are prefix and suffix sum, and it has 240 points. So probably there are 4 questions, and each question has 60 points, something like that. You can go to the attempt section. As soon as you click on the attempt, you will get the question. First, obviously, there is a small note to give the overview of that part. Then that technique is explained. For example, over here, the technique is prefix and suffix sum. Then there are few questions which are given on the basis of that. So you can attempt those questions as well, right? So this is what I was talking about. So if you are trying to just make sure that you want to optimally utilize your last 2 or 3 months, then you just need to practice things. And like I'm assuming that you know about basic data structures and algorithms. If you don't know about data structures and algorithms, if you've not done the course, if you have not done all the learning that needs to be done, so what I'm saying is that you must focus and you must start doing it as soon as possible. So I'm assuming that my audience would be probably in their second year or third year, assuming that the third year graduates would go to full-time role and would basically give full-time interviews, and second year graduates will go to internship interviews. I hope that is the case, right? So if you have not done data structures and algorithms, that's the first thing that you should do, right? That is something that you should quickly do. If you want it through a guided path, through videos, questions, and if you want the great learning experience, you can do our course. I think that is the best paid resource. Apart from that, if you want to do it on your own, I think the best unpaid resource would be Code Monk. So I'm talking about if you want to learn, right? So over here learning is also taken care of, and as well as practice is also taken care of. And if you only have to take care of the practice part, then I would highly recommend go through this part, right? Now coming to the mathematics part. Now, with respect to mathematics, I don't think that we need to go into mathematics in that detail, because we are from a good college. NIT Raipur is a good college. I have already been to a college which is basically near to you, IIT Bhilai, and I think it has been almost 1.5 years. I gave a workshop over there, and we feel that it's a good college. Like IIT Bhilai is a relatively new college. NIT Raipur is old in comparison to that, and it has I think you must have done mathematics really well in your 11th and 12th. There are no gaps around that. So you need not worry about mathematics. But if you still worry about mathematics, I think we can either go to projecteuler.net, but uh, this is a long path that I'm talking about, right? So we need to focus only on maths for computer science, right? But this would need much more time. So since we are focusing only on the interviews, so I would not recommend going into mathematics that much, right? Yeah, probably you can just do aptitude questions for fun. Probably you can work on those things. But if you're working on data structures and algorithms, some or the other mathematics will come into play. So don't worry about that. Right. Let's talk about corner cases. So for the corner cases part, what happens is they will basically try to see whether you are able to cover all the cases or not. They will give you a question and they will check whether you were able to solve each and every problem or not, right? So that is something that you have to focus on. You have to make sure that you are building the solution. Make sure that you go step by step and then you build the solution. In that, what you will see is you will see that you will automatically find corner cases. Let me quickly give an example. So let me quickly give an example. So let's suppose this is there is this one question which says that that you are given this test case. Let me quickly write the test case. I think it was 2 3 7 8, and at the end probably it was 10. So the question's name is equal sum partition. It was asked in Amazon, it was asked in Adobe, and quite a lot of companies. So you are given an array of integers. You have to tell whether it is possible to partition into two parts such that both the parts sum is equal, right? So is it possible to partition into two parts? Yes, it is possible. In one set, I can keep 7 and 10. So 7 and 8, and in one set, I can keep 2, 3, and 10. Right? So this is something that we have to solve. Now the first step is to solve it using brute force solution. I'll keep two sets, right? And I will say basically that if this is the array 2, 3, 7, 8, and 10, if this is the array, then what you have to do is basically you have to start and you have to first enable choices for 2. So you will keep two either in set 1 or either set 2. So you'll make two choices. First you will keep it in set 1, then you will keep it into set 2, right? And then after keeping it in set 1, you will explore two choices for 3. You will explore two choices for 3 where, after 2 is kept in set 2. So this way you will create that recursion tree. You will do everything over there, right? At the end, if you find in the base case, if you find that there are two, if both of these sets have equal sum, then you will say that return true from here, right? So that is the brute force solution. That's the brute force solution that you should think of. Then the second thing that you should do is you should talk about that there is no point talking about two cases. There is no point talking about taking two sets. we just have, we should take only one set, and we should say that if this is the array which is given 2, 3, 7, 8 and 10, then we should find one set and whose sum is equal to 15. So if we are able to find one set whose sum is equal to 15, then our equation is solved, right? Automatically the second set will come. All the elements which are left will form the sum equal to 15 only, right? So I have to find one set whose value is equal to 15, right? So we have to find one set. So we'll start with the zeroth index. First, I'll basically explore the choice for the zeroth index. The sum to be achieved is 15. I'll make two choices. Once it will come in set 1 and once it will not come in set 1. It is exactly same as the previous case. Over here I said that set 1, once it will go in set 1 and once it will go in set 2. Over here I'm saying once it will get in set 1, once it will not get in set 1. So if it is not going in set 1, that means it's obviously going to set 2, right? So this is how. Then I'll explore the choice for first index. So if the zeroth index is going into set 1, then obviously the sum to be achieved will become 13 because the first element is 2. And if it is not going, so I will write 1 comma 15. Right? Slowly and steadily you will explore all the choices. So what you should do is you should go through the brute force solution. Then after going to the brute force solution, when you build the tree, automatically you find a time, automatically you find a place where it will say, let's suppose it is saying 3 comma 4. What does this mean? That I'm standing at third index and I have to achieve a sum of 4. So obviously you will make two calls. Once you will take the third index and once you will not take the third index. When you are taking the third index, the element at the third index is 8 and the sum to be achieved is 4. The sum to be achieved is smaller and the element that I have is 8. Sum to be achieved is really smaller and the element that I have is 8. So the element that I have is bigger, so sum cannot be achieved. So obviously I will not make any further calls. This is one base case. So there are two kinds of base cases. One is the positive base case, other is the negative base case, right? Base cases are the corner cases, right? So the exceptional cases. So when you build the tree, you would be able to find cases. So you have to make sure that you are building the solution. So over here you will find corner cases. Then if you have understood and if you have find or you know about dynamic programming, so first we go through the brute force solution, then we add storage to it, and we make sure that if we add storage in it, this is called memoization. So after creating the tree, we will convert it into memoized solution, and from memoized solution we'll go into the tabulation solution. So this is how you build the solution. From two sets go to one set, from one set go to the memoization part, from memoization go to the tabulation part, right? And when you are exploring everything, that's where you will get the corner cases, right? So practice as much as possible. Sorry. So practice as much as possible, so that what happens is this process of getting corner cases becomes as quick as possible, right? Any questions? If you have any questions, you can quickly unmute yourself and you can speak if you want to. Right, I'll quickly talk about system design a little bit. Behavioral part I think I have already talked about, but if you still want to discuss a little more, I would say rather than me talking, there is already a video which we have made on how to improve our soft skills and how to improve our communication skills. So I think this video would help you achieve that, and I'll quickly share the link of this video as well in the chat section. Perfect. Yeah. So, but I'll talk about system design. We have videos around system design as well. You can explore the entire YouTube channel. It's really great. We have been creating videos like on a regular basis for past 2-3 months, and we have almost covered all the cases, right? All the questions that you might have, right? Okay. So the next thing that I was talking about is system design. So in system design, I'll quickly give an example of what kind of questions can come. So in system design, for example, let's suppose you have to create, you get an internship in bookmyshow.com, or let's suppose you go into bookmyshow.com for the internship interview or for the full-time interview. So obviously Book My Show is a ticketing system. they apply, and any user can go and he can create a ticket, he can book a ticket, he can book a seat, right? So those all things can be happened. So in Book My Show, let's suppose the question that they are asking is that design cinema booking mechanism or cinema booking system. So you would say, I would create this UI and everything. These are the seats that would be shown to me, and all those things you will do. Then they will ask you, let's suppose this is the seat that three, four people want to book. For example, Rahul, Navdeep, Sandeep, and Ramandeep, everybody wants to book this seat. How do you manage that? Like if I'm going to book, then all the other three people, what they are going to see? So the answer to that is that, let's suppose Rahul gets on to this really quickly, right? And he starts the payment journey. So as soon as he starts the payment journey, then this seat would be booked to Rahul, right? I've given this seat to Rahul. And what happens is I will basically create a lock in databases. So I will book this ticket to Rahul, and then I'll create a lock in databases. I'll take a lock on databases that for 5 minutes, this ticket belongs to Rahul, right? So there would be a timeout, 5 minutes or 2 minutes. If Rahul has not completed that process in 2 minutes, then I'll again release the lock and I'll say that this is available, this seat is available. But till the point Rahul is in the payment process, other people, Navdeep, Ramandeep, and Sandeep would see a lock over here. They will see that somebody has already booked this ticket. So that is one solution to things. So the race conditions, when a lot of people are concurrently working on the system, then what happens? How do you manage databases? What databases do you pick, whether you will take SQL or whether you will take NoSQL or graph, or like all those choices are there, right? So you, when you will build systems, then you would be able to come across such scenarios, and then you would be able to answer them as well. So the first thing that you have to do is you have to build systems. So if during this preparation phase you want to create projects, so I think there is a video on project ideas as well. It was recently made. So Coding Ninjas projects, and I think this is one great video that I should quickly share the link about how to make a good project, right? Basically what are the ideas of a good project. One other thing that you can do is you have codementor.io. If you know about web development, so you can work on development projects, you can create a few projects, and I'll share the link to this website as well. And you can see there are a lot of projects. For example, like they have like we can view all, but we can see that there are a lot of people which are concurrently working on these projects, and they are tagged as easy, medium, hard. If you go inside it, there would be a lot of solutions which are provided, and it's a good website, right? So this will help you. So if you'll create system, then only you will be able to answer questions on system design. Then only you will come across some problems which have to be solved either from operating system concepts or from data base management system concepts, or something or the other. So that's where these things would come, right? So create systems, you will come across problems, and those problems are the problems which would be discussed in the interview in the system design thinking, right? So any questions so far? Any questions so far? If you have any questions, feel free to put in. uh, I would want to talk about, I think I have talked about system design, but we cannot take both of these things. I cannot say that I would be focusing on web development. I cannot say that I would be focusing on data structures and algorithms. One thing have to be focused more. So I wanted to talk about how do you manage both of these things, right? So that is one thing that I want to talk about. Any questions so far? Just let me know if you have any questions. So if anybody has any question, then just let me know. You can raise hand, or what you can do, you can unmute yourself also. You can start your video. I think we have given you all the liberty to do whatever you want to do. I just wanted to hear a few questions from your side. If you have any questions, just let me know. I have few questions that I want to take up. One is uh, choose your field, right? So One is you can either go to the web development side, you can focus on the development side, or you can focus on the data structures and algorithm side, right? Choose your side, which one you want to focus more. It can happen that I'm focusing more on data structures and algorithms because for the past 2 3 years I've worked only on data structures and algorithms, and then I can touch upon web development, right? Or the other way around, I can do, if I have worked only on web development, I can focus more on it, and I can only touch upon data structures and algorithms, right? So that is something that we can do, right? But ideally you should have knowledge about DSA up to a certain extent, you should have knowledge about web development up to a certain extent, right? So let me ask you a question. In which of these two do you feel yourself more comfortable in? Do you feel yourself more comfortable in web development or in DSA? A quick answer in the chat would really help me gauge the interest of the people. Then I can actually talk about those things in a little more detail. Perfect, 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 perfect. A lot of people are saying this thing. Okay. Yeah, you can talk about Android dev or web development. That's perfectly fine. Thank you, people, for answering. Perfect, perfect, perfect. If more people can answer, then it would be really great. Otherwise, it's fine as well. Okay, most of the people are saying DSA. So let me talk about that as well. With web dev, I think the projects are sorted, right? With web dev, I don't think I need web dev or Android dev. I don't think that I need to talk anything about the projects part. With the projects part, I think you are sorted on the projects part. You know about what to be created and how to be created, right? Yeah. So I would not be talking about projects for these people, right? You just need to make sure that you actually understand everything. And what you can do is you can focus more on creating more projects, right? You can create more projects. You can go through this video that I shared with you earlier, or what you can do is you can go through codementor.io and you can create more projects over here, right? So that is one thing. Now let me talk about data structures and algorithms. So what you can do is you can quickly learn JavaScript, right? Yeah, I'll come back to you, Nitesh. So what we need to do is we can create some things like auto window switcher. That could be one thing that we can basically solve, that we can do auto window switcher, and this can be created using linked list. So if you know about JavaScript, that you can, then you can create these things. Other than that, you can create a word suggestion auto complete, right? So I have some YouTube videos that you can talk about, that I can talk about, and you can use those YouTube videos to basically create these DSA projects, right? So these are some projects that you can create. So I will quickly write over here. So I think the name of that person is Varun. Yeah. So let me quickly, yeah, these are 9 videos. Perfect. So this is the channel that I was talking about, right? In this channel he has created a few projects on JavaScript but using data structures and algorithms. One is autocomplete application and other is window switcher in JavaScript using linked list, right? So these are the things that you can use, right? So this is this helps you with the projects part. Now let me talk about the DSA part. How do we practice DSA, right? Okay. Now coming to the DSA part, and this DSA part is something that you have to do it, right? So people who are working on dev, I don't think you can go into that much depth, right? With respect to DSA. So I think you should practice and complete the guided path. So if you can complete the guided path, then it would be more than enough for you, right? You just need to be in touch. You just need to solve questions, right? And with respect to people who are working on DSA for a long time, what I would suggest is regularly give contest on lead code, regularly participate on things, right? And make sure that you understand problems in a collective manner. What do I mean by collective manner is, uh, so what happens is, let's suppose a new question comes. So this is one question. In the interview, whatever questions which are coming are uh, are basically they are tweaked or twisted version of this question also. So one question can inspire a lot of questions, right? So I'll talk about one question, I'll quickly talk about one question, and then we can I'll show you an inspiration question as well, and you will see that actually questions are derived from a source question. So a source question will create a lot of child questions, a parent question will create a lot of child questions. So this is something that we have to do, right? So we have to make sure that we are learning in using a pattern, right? So we have to make sure that. So let me quickly write it over here, right? So basically there are some patterns that you have to focus on. We have to make sure that we are looking after all the patterns. So for example, there are few patterns which are called as sliding window, right? And regularly give solve questions regularly, make sure that you are in touch with DSA. And if you're only talking about interview preparation, then we don't want, then we don't have to go to competitive programming websites, we don't have to go to CodeChef, we don't have to go to Code Forces. One thing that is sufficient is the lead code. So lead code, I see, I'm a great fan of lead code, and it's a really great website. So over here there are weekly contests, there are bi-weekly contests which you should regularly give. And apart from that, there is an explore part as well. They daily add one question, right? Over here you will understand things. For example, one question that I found was, let me quickly show it to you. So this was prefix and suffix search question. So this question makes sure that it tests your knowledge of tries, right? So it has to be solved using tries. And the second thing is, it basically tests your knowledge of object oriented programming as well. So the question is pretty simple, I'll quickly explain the problem as well. So there are a lot of words which are given, right? You can do whatever you want to do with these words. For example, you are given apple, let's suppose you are given apricot, and let's suppose you are given test, let's suppose you are given one word, one other word, let's suppose lead code. So these four words are given. Then you would be given queries, right? So queries have two things, one is the prefix, another is suffix. So over here, first is prefix, another is suffix. So you have to return all those, you have to check all those strings which have prefix equal to A and which has suffix equal to E, right? So there is only one string, right? So if I have words apple, apricot, test, and lead code, there is only one string who has prefix equal to A and which has suffix equal to E, right? Which is apple, right? So I have to return its index. If there are more than one strings whose prefix is the given prefix and whose suffix is the given suffix, then I have to find like out of those strings, which string has the largest index, and I have to return that part. So over here, like we have to write these functions, and we have to basically take some data members as well. So this looks like a perfect problem for testing two things, and their solution is also really good. Like the solution is not available for all the problems, some of the problems are available in the premium version, but you can basically go over here and you can do that. So two things, interview problems, right? Give contest, and second, do the explore part. And the third thing that you can do is, let's suppose there is a company which is coming to your college, right? So go to Code Studio. For example, let's suppose tomorrow, let's suppose Amazon is coming, or let's suppose tomorrow Acolyte is coming, or some Adobe is coming. So you can go over here, and on Code Studio you can find experiences. For example, I click on Amazon. This is really cool feature that we have seen, and Amazon has really lot of interview experiences. So go to any interview experiences. I think there are 40-50 experiences of Amazon, and you will see that the first question that is asked is related to loot houses. You can find the approach of this person also, right? Whatever approach that this person applied, and then you can try this problem as well. And you can go, if you are able to solve that problem, it's really good. If you're not able to solve it, you can see the solution as well. And in the solution, there is recursive approach, there is dynamic programming approach, and there is DP space optimized approach. So really great thing over here, I can solve a new problem, right? I can solve the complete interview, right? It has not just listed the problem's name, it has basically given me an opportunity or something to basically try out that problem as well, right? So I can try out problems. It has completely shown me all those kind of rounds. So first round was this, second round was this, system design questions are also there, right? And basic technical questions are also there. So I think I suggest you to talk about, I would suggest you to give interview, go through interview experiences on Code Studio, right? So practice these much as possible, and whatever you have done in the past, just practice more on that. Make sure that you are building more on that. If you have done DSA more, make sure that you are building more on DSA. If you have done web development more or Android development more, make sure that you are building more on that. Naukri sabki lagti hai, right? If you have done DSA more, so that is also valued, right? There would be a set of companies who would be coming and who would be valuing your skill sets. Or if you have done development more, those are also valued. But make sure that thing that you are good at, you are really good, right? Try to go higher and higher. There is always vacancy at the top, so make sure that that you try to reach as much higher, try to basically go as much higher as possible in your chosen field. Either go with the development or with the DSA, both of them are fine, right? So now let me talk about one problem, and now let me show you that how questions are built. There is a source question, and from which you would be able to build a lot of questions, right? So first let me talk about this problem, right? I think this is the same question that I want to talk about. uh, mm, yeah, I think this is the same question. Yeah. So this question was asked in Amazon. Obviously, it's from the Amazon interview experience. Next greater number. Next greater number is the number that I have to find. So the question is quite simple. Just give me a second. Yeah. The question is quite simple. In this question, we have to try to solve this problem. So I'm opening this problem to everybody. I want to know some approaches to solve this problem. So problem is quite simple, right? So you are given 1 2 3 4. Let me change the font of the this part. So if you are given with 1 2 3 4, if this is the number which is given, what you have to do is you have to find the next greater permutation. So the next greater permutation would be 1 2 4 3, or you can see it this way, or you can see it this way. Let's suppose you are given 231. So you write all the permutations of it in the sorted manner. So this would become 1 2 3 1 3 2, 2 1 3 2 3 1, 3 1 2, and 3 2 1. Right. Then you have to locate this number in this list. This is at the fourth number. So you have to find the next greater number. Right. So the next greater number would be 312. So you have to return the next greater permutation would be 312. So you have to find the successor. Right. Similarly, for 1 2 3 4, the successor would be 1 2 4 3. Right. If it is 5 6 7 8 9 and 1 4 2, so its next greater permutation would be 5 6 7 8 9, and 1 4 2 would become 2 1 4. Right. Perfect. I think this should give you the idea. Let me know if you have some approaches to begin with. Do you have any approaches to begin with? This would be my source question, and I would show you कि इसकी help से कैसे एक और question बनाए. Right? You can unmute yourself and you can speak as well. Okay, okay. Okay, so we have Sambek Thakur as well. Uh, Okay, so Samveg, just give me 5 minutes. I'll basically give it to you, right?
Sure, very good.
Yeah, yeah, perfect. I just wanted to talk about this last thing. Since Samveg is here, obviously I want to give him all the time so that two things can be done. He can talk about his experience, and second, specific to your college experience would be imparted. So I'll quickly give it to him. But there is two things that I wanted to talk about. First is that there are some source questions and there are some inspired questions, right? So this is the source question. Try to solve it, right? I would basically write it in the chat section. Oh, where is the chat? Where is the chat? Where is the chat? Yeah. Okay. So this is the source question. And what I saw recently was there was this contest. I think the contest was 239. And there was one question. I think the third question was there, which was inspired from this question. Yeah. So minimum adjacence to reach to the kth smallest element. So this is an inspired question from this. So when you solve these two questions together, you would see that how an original problem is twisted and tweaked and a new problem is created. So this brings me to the last thing that I wanted to talk about. If you're preparing for data structures and algorithms, use the approach that UWI 10pen applies, right? So what he says that many coders ask me how to improve their performance. I cannot say anything but solve, review, prepare your own library. So what I'm saying is that there are no new problems. Each problem is inspired from some or the other problem. So what you need to do is when you are solving any question, let's suppose you are going through the guided path that I talked about in the earlier part, or you are solving through lead code, right? Or you are solving interview experiences on Code Studio. Solve, after that you should review that question. Review, what I mean is if you are able to solve it, it's well and good. If you are not able to solve it, then you should focus on what of the solution, why of the solution, how of the solution. Focus कि तुमने क्या किया, प्रॉब्लम के सॉल्यूशन में क्या किया हुआ है, एंड क्यों किया है, राइट? Whatever steps have been taken, like why you have taken those steps, and at the end how implementation part is really important. And after you solve and review it, prepare your own library, right? Create like for example Kadans, because उन्हीं को use करके नया problem solve होगा. So either prepare your digital notebook, digital library, or your personal library, personal notebook. If tomorrow is my interview, then I would be flipping through the pages of my notebook. I would not going through some video. So make sure that you are creating your own library. Make sure that you are learning as you go along your preparation phase, right? So if you apply these things, you would do great. Over to you, Samveg. Yeah, over to you. So I'll do stop share.
And, Navdeep, that was really awesome. I wish we had that kind of session. Um, I had heard about it. Yeah, so yeah, whatever you said like seemed very relatable to me. You cannot focus on both, to be very honest. It's either DSA or development. So I and a couple of my friends basically started with DSA in the initial, and we just did competitive. We didn't have like we didn't used to call it DSA, but yeah, we used to do competitive on usually Coachef or other platforms. And then after second year, I went into Android mostly. So from then on, I couldn't touch DSA much. It was mostly development. But yeah, it's the same everywhere. The initial rounds will be of data structures and algorithms. So a good in-depth understanding and basically a limited amount of that is definitely there. Threshold is there that which you need to cross for like clearing of any of those uh, rounds in any company. Basically, if it's an MNC, I'm not talking about startups. If it's an MNC, there will be competitive programming rounds. So yeah, data structures algorithm is must. Uh, you already explained pretty well on how to focus on that. Talking about projects, my little bit addition to that would be doing internships for all students, like as much as possible. The more you do internships, the more you get exposure to the live projects, which actually counts, and the more you can talk about those things in your interview, basically. So after DSA rounds, there will be simple operating system questions and DBMS questions that you can basically clear off by studying. But what comes down to is those things are accessible to everyone. What you can have better in your thing is obviously projects, and that too if they are live. That's the best thing you can have. So that thing I started from, I guess, first year. After my first year, we did an internship in Android. Then after second year, we went to Gurgaon and one of my friends. We did an internship over there. During my second year, I did another internship. It was like online internship. Uh, then after third year, I fortunately got into Microsoft and got a PPO from there. So that was a different story. But before that, all my exposure was in startups, and because they are basically easy to enter for first year and second year students. So uh, nothing was as a team. I had a startup as well. I was mainly focusing on that, and got into this somehow. It was two different things basically. So that talking about my experience in competitive, so it was as simple as that. I specifically never prepared for any of those companies. To be very honest, it was fun for us. We enjoyed kind of competitive programming. So like that's why we used to sit and just uh, go out on long challenges, cook off and lunchtime, even right before our cities. I remember I and one of my friends, we used to like sit in those contest. So that was really fun. Apart from that, that slightly decreased after second year, though it was there in touch, but it slightly decreased. We started like growing more on development side. So talking about development, my main area was Android, but then as you said, like backend engineering is what is usually asked in interviews. Android is a very specific domain, and most of the interviewers don't usually have experience until and unless you are being specifically interviewed about Android engineering or content. So that's when it boils down to. Fortunately, what happened in my second year internship, there was a everyone like I usually came also. I just came early to the office, and then there was CTO sitting. So I just asked a couple of questions. Okay, like I'm doing on Android, that's fine, but how's the backend going, and what exactly are the tables you're using, and why those things. So we had a kind of a 45 minutes to 1.5 hour session where he explained me the complete backend of the uh, product we were working on, and that was actually uh, a huge under like kind of learning for me. Like I've never been exposed to that before. I just knew okay, take it. My friends used to give me a REST API endpoint, tell me this is a request response, and we just used to code that. But how to develop those things, what a REST API should have, how to form tables, all those things that 1.5 hours was very crucial. Fortunately, that thing, that particular internship was discussed in depth during my Microsoft interview as an internship interview. So there we had a complete like almost a 45-minute 1 hour discussion of why you got into this internship and what exactly learn over there. And then there were counter questions. Not exactly system design, but they had their scenarios created up, as in telling about, okay, this application was for normal people, so you made it this way. How would you change it if some blind person or physically disabled person would do that? What would be your first set of features that you would want to release for those kind of people? And things went on from that to in very like to granular level, and then they were like, okay, so if this was a response, what was the table exactly, and why that table, why this was not combined in this table, and all those stuff, the foreign key concept, and all those stuff basically. So that was, I guess, my last second round. That was completely based on internship. Final round was HR round, so in that they asked common HR questions. Apart from that, the HR had his LinkedIn open, so there he found out I have a startup. So he was very keen on that. Okay, why do you have a startup? Then why do you want to join this company? And then all those stuff. So that was something new. Uh, Coming back, the second interview, that was mostly on operating system and DBMS. And that was totally on operating system and DBMS. They had questions in there. Basic thread questions were there, but then going down to deadlock problems, and then having their own set of problems for operating system. Um, that was there. That again ran around 30-45 minutes. The more you answer, the more deeper they ask, and this goes on. So the longer you have, I guess, the better it is. But that's not um, a 5 by 6 rule. So yeah, that was there. Previous to that, again, was a competitive round where I was given two questions on competitive programming, one on 2D array, another one on kind of recursion question. So that was there. I don't exactly remember the question, but yeah, that was like comparatively easier, or it might like it clicked me at that time. So that might be the scenario. So those were two pretty questions that they asked, and then there were discussion on basically how do you see the approach. So one of the most important things in an interview is what I find is, and that tip was given to me by my seniors, that even if you have um, kind of the best approach, it would be best not to like disclose it immediately. You should probably, as you were discussing, you should probably go with brute force and then improvise solution, explaining it to them why you are improvising, how you are improvising. Start with n square, move on to n, move on to log n, and all those stuff. But make sure you think out loud. Whatever you're thinking, even if it's wrong, just think out loud. At best, what they'll do is either correct you or let you go. But whatever you do, just think out loud. That would be one of the things that helped me in both the questions. Uh, before that was another competitive round where it was a pen and paper test. The question was written on board. It was a linked list question. The part was you had to write the solution and you had to probably give all the test, and you probably have to give all the test cases. That was the most crucial part for them. They said we want as many test cases as you can write and explain what would be the result and why. So that was there. This was an in this was the I guess this is what all happened at their place. We were called to Bhubaneswar for all those things. Before that, we had an online round on metal.com. I guess that was a platform, metal platform. That's where our coding round happened. That again consist of three competitive questions. One was a cakewalk question, string manipulation. Another one, second one was I guess tree. The third one was tree. Two was string questions, I guess. So yeah, that was there. Yeah, that's pretty much how I entered.
Any questions if you have got on the personal chat? Because
Yeah.
I have not,
Okay.
like, I've not got any questions from the audience. People feel free
Hmm.
to ask questions to Samvik, uh,
Yeah.
so that you can get curated answers, like specific answers to your problems. And as Krishna mentioned earlier, this is a closed meeting. We have brought one of your alumni so that, like, like any questions, like it could be, it would be like whatever I speak, it would be very generic, but this would be specific to companies that come to your college, all the opportunities that we have. Finally, we have one question from Amrita, and she says that how to get internships when you are as a first year, when you are in your first year. Yeah.
Don't look for money. As simple as that. No one says no to an intern who doesn't expect a stipend. To be very honest, I and one of my friends did an internship for free, and that was by far the most internship because that's where I started Android. It maybe in second or third year when started to get stipend, I might have that startup that I didn't get stipend in the first year. But after that, I realized, okay, but that was a starting point. That's where actually I learned Android. Then actually I got other internships. So don't look for stipend first of all. If you have the technical expertise, definitely you should look for it, no questions asked. But if you are starting to learn on something, it's it's okay to not have stipend and like earn something different, and that is knowledge. So for sure you should go for free internships as well. That's totally fine. But yeah, to get internships, apply to 100 companies. You'll get reply from 10. You'll get hired by one. So it's just 100 is to 10 is to 1 ratio. It's that. I think, yeah,
There
I
is
guess
one
that
more
answers.
question. It's how it says that how many companies will allow core branch students to sit in the placements.
I didn't sit in placement, so I really don't have an answer to your question, unfortunately. But yeah, core branches do get opportunities. I guess they have a separate set of companies for particular technology like IT sector. I guess CS, IT, and EPC are allowed, as far as I'm concerned, up until 2020. If the rules have changed, I'm not sure about that. But up until 2020, it was CS, IT, and EPC getting opportunities for all CS and IT companies. I do development a lot, no DSA with some proficient level, but not in practice with consistent. I'm preparing for job. How do I approach it? Um, so I have a particular like I don't have a very particular answer because as I told I have mostly like did that on in my second year, and that was mostly coding competitions. So sit in as many coding competition as possible. sit in that and always try to solve one more than the before. That won't be possible in very short terms, but what happens is even if in lunchtime you're able to solve two questions, we usually just after lunchtime go away. If you were able to solve two problems, do definitely solve the third one even after the competition end. That's the most crucial advice that was given by one of my seniors, and that helps everyone. So I guess that should be there. Plus, I have one of the blogs written up on that because that was there's a question I asked to one of my intern, another intern in Microsoft. He's from IIT Bombay, computer science, and he basically got into the regionals of ICPC, ACM ICPC, and in fact, even there he was, I guess, 10th or 12th ranked person. So like he's extremely pro in competitive programming. He has a tip for everyone is to basically solve questions on code forces and then change your basically the difficulty level. Solve in a particular 100 level difficulty 10 questions, then increase your difficulty level. I'll definitely share that blog. You can have everyone can have a look on that. Yeah, probably that answers you, Kuldeep. About off-campus procedures, yeah. So on off-campus procedures, there are two different sectors, either aim for startups or for MNCs, I'll say. For startups, they will reply on their careers page, and probably the HRs or CTOs will get you in contact on LinkedIn. For MNCs, my experience is you'll never get a reply on careers page. It's best to go through via referral. Paying someone in the company, probably an alumni, those are the ones who will listen to you easily. So you'll have to reach out to them on LinkedIn, ping 50s of them because you don't know who will reply, who will not. Just apply and keep applying, and then maybe you'll get a chance. How did you score an interview at Microsoft? So there was an basically off-campus drive in at that time. That's a funny story. Actually, I was literally sleeping during the competition that was supposed to happen, and one of my friends called up that okay, come on, we should sit in this, and I was like, okay, dude, it's Microsoft. Let's be honest, we haven't prepared for anything. Let's not just sit and get ourselves embarrassed. But he kept on forcing that let's try and give that out, maybe we can do that, and probably I got the easier question, so I was able to like solve all those three questions. But yeah, on our time it was off campus drive, so that helped. I guess now off campus drives are little less in number because of competition, but still there are openings on their career page. So whenever you approach someone on LinkedIn, it's best to have the URL ready, or the at least the job number or job ID ready from them, and just tell them, and don't just go on LinkedIn and ask for a referral. That's not a good thing to do because they don't know you at all. Just reach out to them, give a brief discussion about yourself, who you are, why you want to join that particular company, and then what projects you have done, attach a resume, and then at last say, okay, this is the job ID. I hope you can recommend me. If not, can you let me know who can, or what should I improve in for getting your referral? Something like that. That should probably help you. Would certificate be of any use during my placements like AWS, Azure? No, I don't think so. No one opened any of my certificates, none of those, at least for me, and neither have I heard of. Your resume will be thing because they want to pull out keywords out of that and ask you questions on that because all have different kinds of syllabus in different colleges. So maybe your resume will be used again like for your questions. They want to see what kind of internships you have done, what kind of tech stack you have worked on, and maybe ask on that particular questions. But I don't think they'll see your certificates. And don't like do a course for certifications, to be very honest. If you can, if you are getting something really good out of it, then it's good to do that. Does an active presence on LinkedIn helps to get an internship opportunity? If yes, how students can be more productively active on LinkedIn? That's a good question. Active presence on LinkedIn may get you an internship opportunity. That's not true because it again depends on how many projects you have done prior to that and how you reach out to people on LinkedIn. It however active you are, you need to reach out people on LinkedIn. No one's gonna see your post. Okay, this guy posts every day, so let's give him a referral. No, they'll see your projects. To be very honest, okay, this guy has projects. This guy is ranked say top 1,000, top 5,000 on code forces or this. Okay, let's give him a try. That might happen, but not that. And students can look out for opportunities like LinkedIn has a pool of jobs for you. You can find all the internship opportunities you need on LinkedIn. Just go to the company page of that particular startup or MNC and just list out your jobs. You can filter those jobs and almost do anything. Tushar, if possible, at last you can tell little to Coding Ninjas, as you know it's a good company. Okay, about Coding Ninjas, I have a really good experience. I've heard from one of my friends, to be very honest. So the company which I worked in my second year as an intern, that was iLive, Federal Health. There I had a friend, Anubhav Malik. You guys can check it out on LinkedIn. So he was basically a student of Coding Ninjas, and that guy told me about Coding Ninjas. Unfortunately, they haven't used that, but I got a really good recommendation for this. They had amazing DSL Go courses and all the stuff. So yeah, and by the way, he now has a startup who's backed by Y Combinator. So that's a big thing to know. So yeah, why not? Do try that out. Any more questions?
Yeah. So I think some way we like we have ran out of questions.
Uh-huh.
I think people should have asked more questions, and but it's fine. It's fine. Probably we have talked a lot more, and probably we have answered all the answers.
Right.
So quickly summarizing what Samveg was saying, one is internships are really important, and then Samveg, if I miss something, so just correct me, just add. I'm just trying to summarize. Internships are really important. And the second thing is live projects. If you have projects, it is really great. If you have live projects, it would be more better. And third thing, it depends on you. You are following either development or competitive programming, but don't focus on both of these things. Like there is audience to each of these things. There would be companies who would be willing to pay you a high amount for your DS skills, and similarly, you will get companies who are basically paying you so good for your development skills as well. And then with respect to, I think there was one question around LinkedIn presence. That would also basically LinkedIn obviously would help you. And one more thing that Samveg mentioned was about basically his whole journey. He explained. I think I've covered everything. Samveg, anything I've missed? आपने वो blog
Uh,
तो डाल दिया, blog का
yeah.
link तो डाल दिया.
And maybe approaching on LinkedIn. That's again that I want to focus on. Like
Yeah.
I get a lot of requests for referrals on LinkedIn, but trust me, I really don't want to see like, okay, hey Samvik, this is my resume. Can you refer me? I don't know you. Why would I refer you? It's as simple as that. It takes time to fill out a form and then refer you. So being honest, being like sitting in my own chair, I'll tell you like, if you describe about yourself more, if you tell about projects more, and even if that guy is not willing to refer you, at least ask what you can improve to get that referral, basically, right? Because that's gonna help you. If he's not doing, trust me, out 5 out of 10 won't, or even 8 out of 10 won't. There should be some things that you need to improve and then come back to, okay, you said me this, I've done this, can you refer me now? That will work, I guess.
And the ratio that you talked about, like you
Ah, ah,
will reach out to 100 people, 10 will reply you back, one will refer you, and
yes,
that will give you so
that
that's
that that definitely goes
yeah.
there.
Perfect. There are few questions. One is about what would be a good idea for projects. I already shared a video which Ankush sir created, and I
Yes.
think there are 20 videos. I think that will do the trick. Then obviously going through this blog, it's really recommended. Then Akshat is asking, how can you obtain job ID? You will go to the career page, you will get the job ID. Don't worry about that part. One last question, Raghav is asking, what is the procedure and plans before making a personal or a professional blog? Like this is like if you want to answer something.
Yeah, sure. What is the procedure and plans before making personal professional blog? So I have a very simple reason to make blogs. Whatever I do, whatever I kind of work on, I need to go to Stack Overflow. People have answers over there. I use that and get my things done. But that's just taking from the community. I want to give things back to the community as well. So I try to blog everything, almost whatever I have done so far, be it Flutter, be it blogs on Flutter or anything. I try to write as much as possible, document them, and like publish them whenever possible. So that's my way of putting, like, giving back to the community. That's the only reason I do that. Yeah, that was the reason.
Yeah, yeah, that will help. Nitish is asking questions around data science. I am not the right person to answer this thing. Samveg, if you have anything to.
Yeah, so I don't have any experience in this, to be very honest, as well. I'm as clueless as you are, but yeah, what I've heard from one of my friends who was a data science intern is Python. I just say the keyword that I've heard, Python, and good experience with handling data. That's what I've heard. You need to be very good with Python, and that's what mostly interview will be around. So I'm sure you'll get a lot of blogs on this on Google. Just Google it. You'll get a
Yeah,
lot of blogs.
yeah. So Google Nitesh, you will find articles on medium.com, and that would be the right place. Yeah. So we are wrapping it up. Okay, so Ayush, we will take this last question. He says that I have good technical knowledge in Flutter, I believe, but I want to get an edge project, a project that can show my skills really good. So I think
Okay.
you should, yeah, some way you can go.
Yeah, yeah, please go ahead. Please go ahead.
So I was just referring to that video. Like probably I'm doing it a lot more. I should not do that that much. Yeah. So yeah, you can take over this question.
I mean, that's good if you have good knowledge in Flutter. To be very honest, if you have extremely good knowledge in Flutter, build a knowledge around DSA and apply for Google Pay jobs. To be very honest, go on Google career site, and there will be a lot of sales. About your question on what would be a good project is to have a project which has almost all aspects of Flutter. Now, what do I mean by that? Is not a good UI. UI is something which you can easily make in Flutter. Since I am there, I know how easily can. That's not the point. Point is to use everything. Be it Navigator. Navigator is used for switching from one page to another. Be it Navigator. Be it making HTTP client calls. Be it optimizing the page. So how can you? So that's not what you will find very common in projects on how to optimize a particular Flutter project. Even if you Google it, you'll hardly find two or three good blogs on that on how to optimize your Flutter project, right? Then it can involve a little bit of engineering. How can you can use threads in there and all those stuff? Because at Google level or at any enterprise level, that's what's more important to them. Then because yeah, it's again like you can make the front end very easily. That's all out there, but it's more important how good you are in engineering that particular thing and making it ready for the public, right? It should run on every phone. How can you make it responsive? How it should run on every particular phone size? Do all those things, and I think that would be a good project for you.
Yeah. Perfect. So that was our last question, and I think we can wrap it up. Samveg, if you want, you can add your contact details or like your email ID. People want to reach back to you. I'll also
Sure.
quickly write. So if you want, if you had some questions which we were not able to answer because of lack of time, you can contact me at navdeep@codingninjas.com and Samveg at thakarsamveg608 @gmail.com. Yeah. So perfect. Thank you, people, for your time. Thank you, Samveg, for your time.
Thanks
And
for having me.
yeah, perfect. Okay. Bye, bye, people. Bye.
Thanks everyone. Bye.